And we're back with more NBA observations. It's Gerald Glassford. Thanks so much again for joining me right here for NBA observations on the Lakers Fast Break. Please make sure you like and subscribe. And if you're listening to us on a podcast outlet, that 5-star review for the channel really helps. I'm trying to bring you the best I can in Lakers and NBA talk right here at the Lakers Fast Break, and of course, what we do right here at NBA Observations. But it wouldn't be NBA Observations without a great NBA observer, and he is back for more and getting ready to go ahead and design his plans for Thursday night's live show for his teams, one he covers, and his favorite one at heart, Utah and Boston. It is, of course, the guy behind so much of the great work at the JNotes, at thejnotes.com. That's j-notes.com right there for you. It is, of course, my good friend, Mr. Matt John. Matt, great to have you here. When we spoke last, though, things were a little calmer in Salt Lake City than they are right now.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. Someone kind of pointed out that we're kind of getting a media blitz on the Jazz right now, and I feel like this is just the start. I kind of anticipated this, like even dating back to last year. I was like, yeah, they didn't extend Kessler, and I was just like, he's probably going to take that personally after the season he had. And in fact, like I do think that what's come out has been more of like no, he's felt this way for a while. So I do think that like what has come out about since then is more or less like confirmation of what everyone behind the scenes already knew.
I'm just going to say this because, we're going to lead off, I guess, with Kessler and then get into the draft because that's been another thing as far as the Jazz is concerned as well. Walker Kessler currently in a situation where he could negotiate with the Utah Jazz, and in doing so, he is still a restricted free agent, but an extension is still possible, like you mentioned, as far as it's concerned, or a new contract per se, as far as that's concerned. He has been offered reportedly. I don't know how much you take stock in it. Is it 4,140 or 5,140? 5,140. Okay, 5,140. What's that? 28 million a year.
Give or take. I think it's a tad less.
Okay, so let's say 27. Well, let's say just a little under 28. So a little under $28 million a year for a guy. Again, we like him on the Lakers as far as it's concerned, but that's a lot of cash for a player who has had only one real standout season, to be quite honest. He did get the injury with the shoulder injury last season. Otherwise, I think it would have been another good season for him. But be that as it may, his, I guess, relationship with the Utah Jazz has been, can you say strained would be the best way to say it?
I'm honest, like I honestly do not, I can't put a finger on what his relationship with the Jazz is because Jazz reporters are saying, no, he wants to be in Utah. Like he wants to play for this team. But at the same time, he definitely has a certain very high price tag for what he does. So I do think his preference is to be in Utah, but I think he also wants Utah to. I think his idea of like if whether or not the feeling is mutual is how if they're willing to meet the price tag that he has set for them. And so like we'll get into it, but just like 5 years, 140 million, I actually think that's pretty good. Like the fact of the matter is they're not waiting for it. They're saying, here, this is our offer. Like the fact they could have just like waited until someone gave them an offer, and they're not. They're being proactive about this. So like it is kind of like I think he wants to be back, but I do think that he is because Utah's not matching what he wants. He is willing to let this get ugly. Like I actually wrote an article basically referencing the Batman movie from 1989 of you want to get nuts? Come on, let's get nuts.
I'm going to say this, 5 for 140 to me seems like a fair offer from the outside as not a Utah Jazz individual or whatnot, just as an NBA observer, I think that's a fair. How much is he thinking he is actually worth at this point in time?
Sounds to me like he thinks he's worth 35 to 40 million per for what he does. Like I
Welcome
wrote
to the world of Austin Reeves, my friend.
about like the one thing he has going for him is he's not an easily replaceable player. What he does, the Jazz need. They need rebounding. They definitely need that rim protection. Like him and Jaren Jackson Jr. He know, like, if anything, he may use that against him, being like, dude, you can't pass on me and JJJ being in the same front court. We are going to be awesome together next season. I think that's what I'm not reporting anything, obviously, but I think that's something that he's trying to use against the Jazz of like, you can't afford to lose me. But at the same time, it is kind of like, listen, you are a good player who brings certain qualities that can't be easily replaced. But you've had an up and my read on the Walker Kessler era thus far has been very up and down. He had an awesome rookie season. He surprisingly proved he was Rudy Gobert's replacement. Second season, he kind of tailed off a little bit, I think, because the league kind of figured him out. And then the third season, he was much better, where he proved, no, I still am an excellent rim protector.
Yeah,
And
that's the season I wanted to point out. That was my fault. I've got one season like thrown out of
like,
ways, but yes, you're right on the third season.
like his excellent rim protector, and I am also one of the league's best rebounders. Like you can't take that for granted. But at the same, but you're also coming off a season where you missed most of it. So like the Jazz are the Jazz are sending to me. I think the Jazz are sending the message that no, we value you, we want you back, but we are also trying to be honest about this. Like, and more importantly, 5 years. Like, doesn't that tell you? Yes, we want you. Like, we absolutely want you, and we're willing to pay a pretty solid price, but you're still a complimentary piece. Like, you are not in this sandwich. You are not the hamburger. You are the lettuce and tomatoes. So, but the vibe I'm getting is that he thinks he is. I won't say the hamburger, but he thinks he's the buns.
He thinks he's a special sauce,
Yeah, more or less. But
more
yeah,
or less.
like it's clear that he like maybe he's heard something. Maybe he's heard from other teams. Maybe even the Lakers. Like it's very possible that the Lakers have told him, no, we'll give you that much. But I like this to me. This is definitely the fact that we have started not only with he's frustrated, but this is the Jazz's offer tells me, oh, this really is gonna drag for months. I still think he is gonna stay in Utah, but I do think that neither side is gonna make it easy on the other. Even though the Jazz have been like, listen, I agree completely with your assessment. That's a good offer. In fact, if
That's over.
anything,
I think that's overpaying him. To be honest, I think he's a low 20s at best player right now, as far as like you said, because there's only a 2 out of 4 season real proof of what he can do. I think he's low 20s. I would go 20 to be honest with you, 20 to 22 personally. At 28 is like that's a lot.
it is. It definitely is, and like I am looking forward to seeing like if and when if say he does agree to that, like if the Jazz do plan to keep him for the duration of that contract because they aren't going to be able to keep everyone long term. But like I do think that the Jazz kind of sent that was I appreciate the fact that like even though not a Jazz fan, we all know Gordon Hayward was like their biggest disaster because they didn't do that with him and he took that very personally. Like they said, no, we're going to wait until someone gives you that contract, and someone eventually did, and then the Jazz matched, and that was that. But he took note of that. He was like, no, you showed me you didn't value me, and they're not doing that with Kessler. They're like, we're giving you a contract that I think like no one's going to look at that and think, oh, the Jazz are totally underselling him. They're really not. They're being upfront. They're like, yes, we want you here, and we are giving you maybe a tad bit more than what you have earned. But like this I guess like as I think you kind of pointed it out of like this is a we believe that you will be worth this. This is kind of a like reward our faith kind of. We do believe from your previous contributions how good you can be, but we also think that you can prove that you're worth this. So
Again, I think he could approach earning that contract. I don't think he's earned it yet, but like you said, it's a leap of faith for the Utah Jazz when you offer him 5 for 140. But like you said, if he's got inference and whispers, even though you're not really supposed to be hanging out listening to any Lakers or anyone else as far as it's concerned, but we all know what they do behind the scenes as far as communicate with each other. So if he does or if he's acting this way because he knows he has something better on the horizon that Utah would have to match. I don't think I would be surprised on that. I just would say you have to realistically look at it. In these situations, Matt, if I'm the outside guy looking in, I do have to overpay. If I really want that player, you really have to overpay so that the incumbent team, in this case the Utah Jazz, says, you know what, that's too rich for our blood. We're good. Okay, yeah, have a good day. But again, you really have to go with the overpay on it. So I get it from an outside standpoint of what other teams may be offering Walker Kessler outside.
Yeah, I mean, I am wondering who is giving him that contract. It could be the Lakers. Like I have no idea, but and note that if you are paying that, you're also paying for someone who didn't have much to his name last season. So I do I do feel like the Jazz are definitely being fair with this offer. Like maybe Kessler believes he's in for a Hayward like breakthrough next season, which the Jazz aren't going to ask him to do, but obviously they're going to be, because when Hayward signed that contract extension, he'd only proven he was a starter. It wasn't until the season after that he was playing at an all-star level. Like I know he only made one all-star team, but anyone who watched the Jazz after he signed that first contract, he was playing awesome basketball. Like they finally made the playoffs like 3 years after that, and that's when everyone was like, "Oh, Gordon Hayward's really freaking good." But anyway, like if Kessler believes, "Oh, that's going to be me next season. Like I am going to be not just a starting center, I am going to be one of the league's best centers." Maybe that reinforces why he thinks this is a low ball offer. But like, and it's also funny seeing the reaction because like some people do agree with that sentiment of like that's a little too much for someone who only just proved last year how that he really is that valuable, and then followed up with an injury plagued season. And others are like, oh, that's not enough. Like Kessler really is a difference maker. So it is kind of an eye of the beholder kind of thing.
Believe me, it is indeed in this case. And again, you have to have a real affinity for Walker Kessler if you're willing to go ahead and get him. And, he is obviously the biggest benefactor in all this because, okay, let's say he does revert back to what Utah is pointing out. 5 for 140 is still not a bad deal, especially for a player that, like you said, has to prove it to be playing at that level. But if he decides that he wants to go elsewhere or take a contract from somewhere else, an offer sheet, as they say, from somewhere else, then that's going to be higher than that. And that's going to be, Matt, I don't know. I cannot. I mean, I see it, but somebody paying so much for someone that has not proven to be at that level. I'm already trying to come to grips with the fact that Austin Reeves is going to be being paid 30, 35, 40, 45, 48 million dollars possibly. Is that is something I have to come to grips with, but I don't personally enjoy myself. And then you're asking somewhere in that neighborhood, Walker Kessler is going to be paid that same, and who has an even less track record as well.
Yeah, like I will say this, like Kessler before he went down did look pretty impressive. Like he did look like he had the makings of another leap in him where he was making threes, he was making actually pretty impressive passes. But of course that was back before they got Jaren Jackson Jr. So now they're going to ask they probably won't ask Kessler to stretch the floor anymore. They'll be like, "No, just go get offensive rebounds. That is what you're great at." And so like it I am like it's definitely hard because I guess more than anything, you're investing in someone who, sadly enough, even after the impressive season he had at this time a year ago, is an unknown after this shoulder surgery. So like you're taking this is a big leap of faith, and I do think that Utah is playing this right. They're not taking, even though they have all the leverage, they're not taking full on advantage of this. They're just like, no, I do appreciate that they are not twiddling their fingers. They're like, nope, this is our offer. And if you think you can find more, all the power to you, but we think that this is fair. And I think that most people in Utah, the common consensus I think is, yeah, that is a pretty fair offer for Kessler. And if he thinks he's worth more, well, don't let the door hit you on the way out. I should be like this because there's my door.
There you go, indeed. But once again, it is Matt John. Please go ahead and check out his coverage of this ongoing coverage at thejnotes.com as this drama and saga continues. Again, I normally want to side with the player in these type of deals, but again, since this could cost the Lakers if they are really interested in it, and believe me, I will roast Rob Pelinka if he has to pay $30 million plus or more to get Walker Kessler as an individual, as far as that's concerned. That's going to be a problem indeed. So, your thoughts, though, in totality on this Walker Kessler issue, is it something that's going to remain an issue for a long time to come, or is it something that you think will be rather quickly resolved?
I think it could. Like, I could see the compromise being Kessler being more like, okay, well, 28 per, I guess I'll sell it for 3 years, 84 million. And I'll have a team option on that third year. I don't think this is going to be a problem for the Jazz immediately, because I still stand by my belief, as I think everyone else does. He will be back with the Jazz next season, but I could see him being like, you know what, I'm worth more than this. I'm only going to stay for this amount, like this amount of years, I should say. Like, and then I am entitled to do whatever I want. So I do think a few years down the line, this could be a problem, especially because, as I think I've brought it up on this show multiple times, Utah's going to have to start paying their guys. And when they do, some of their other guys are going to have to go. So I am looking forward to seeing, like, if Kessler's going to be one of those guys. Like, I think Utah prefers keeping Kessler. And I do think they, like, no one in Utah is being like, oh, that is 5 years, 140 million. They're lowballing him. I do think that they're being fair. I guess, like, and the point of me saying that again is that I think if this does lead to a falling out, unlike Hayward, they're not going to say like, oh, the Jazz played a role in this. I was like, no, this was Kessler just thinking he's worth more than he is.
And that's admirable that he does. I know that we have a situation here in Los Angeles where rumors have it that Austin Reeves thinks or is going to be asking, based on what his representatives and him believe, that he could be very well asking for the max from the Los Angeles Lakers, which would total out to $48.5 million a year, which, hold on for a second, gives me the shivers just even thinking about it. So, be that as it may, to an extent, I understand that as far as that situation is concerned, what is going on where players over evaluate themselves. But if there's one suitor, as Joe Sorrell, my cohort on my live shows, says, yeah, all the, you know, send them out. If bid that much or bid to an extent that what they want so much that it's going to really hurt the team if you match that offer, then you know what? At this point, just have a good day. Because, again, $30 million plus for Walker Kessler, who is a rotation player, who is a starting big in the NBA, but he is not going to be your top two individual on the team. And if he is, it's not a good team. If that's the case, then that's a problem. Because once you start paying these auxiliary guys, third, fourth, fifth, guys in the rotation, 35 $40 million, that is really, really not going to be good for your overall outcome or your growth as a team moving on.
And just to emphasize that point, I think, like, the NBA tax aprons, teams are trying to avoid that. We heard James Dolan confirmed today, Knicks aren't going into the second tax apron to keep this team afloat, which everyone's kind of like, oh, so you're not keeping this team together, the one that won you a title. So, like, I do think there's definitely a whole lot more merit now. I was like 10 years ago, like, when every NBA team got so much money to spend and everyone kind of burned it, like, on just very few teams spent wisely. And everyone, like, we saw 70 million for Luol Deng, 70 million for Evan Turner, just like perfectly okay players. Now, Kessler is better than those players are, but I think Utah's definitely going to be cautious of, like, look, like, it's not even necessarily just that we don't think you're worth 35 to 40 million. We know the consequences if we do pay that much for you. Like, we would only not only be forced to trade you, but we may have to trade you for pretty much nothing. Look what the Celtics did last year. They had no choice but to get rid of Porzingis and Holiday for pretty much nothing. Like, So, and I do think the Jazz would be forced to be put into kind of the same dilemma in and not too long from now if they actually succumb to his demands.
Well, if in Salt Lake City, you'd think that'd be the only problem. Okay, we can deal with that. That's not a problem. That's fine. It's just negotiation. It's the player wanting more money, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, we could deal with that. But that's not the only drama going on in Salt Lake City right now, because the NBA draft is less than a week away, my friend. And with that, you have, of course, the number 2 pick in Salt Lake City for the Utah Jazz. And with that said, there's a reason why teams, or why draft experts are really just like not super high as they should be on Daaryn Peterson, based on what they see. It's kind of what I for years was really mad about LeBron, about being, he's one of the greatest players of all time, one of the greatest talents of all time, but it's all that noise. It's all the decision making outside of what goes on the court that just irritated me and irritated me and irritated me. And with Daaryn Peterson, now, you go back to the creatine stuff, leading to the cramping stuff, takes himself out of games type stuff. And, his commitment to win, people have questioned. He's called himself a loner, so he's not exactly a team leader. But no one can argue with the talent that this man has. And in doing so, though, people are just all over the fence whether or not he's going to go 1, 2, or 3 in the draft. He was When we started this conversation with Daaryn Peterson, or when we started this conversation at the lottery, it seemed like you just slot him in at number 2, and there you go. But with his recent actions and his denial of working out for the Utah Jazz, only working out for the number 1 team, the Washington Wizards, seemingly playing itself out through the Ace Bailey playbook from last year, it seems like that, again, it's going to be a problem for Utah going forward, which could affect the Walker Kessler situation if Utah and the Angels just say, you know what, we don't want to deal with it. We don't want to have an issue with it. We don't want a problem with it. We don't want that coming up. So you know what? We're just going to take a safer pick in Cam Boozer instead.
It's very possible. Like, the local Jazz reporters are saying that it actually wasn't anything against the Jazz why he did that. Like, it sounds like it was much like, apparently he has been in contact with the Jazz, and like they have talked. It does sound like it's much more he's confident the Wizards are going to take him. And for what it's worth, David Locke has been saying, like, for over a week now, he thinks Debonsa is going to be on the Jazz. Like, he said this even before this Peterson stuff came out. Now, whether or not that happens, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But even if Peterson is kind of a problem and he's available for the Jazz at number 2, like, I do think that, the Jazz faced a similar predicament last year with Ace Bailey, and they still said, nope, we're going to take him. He's talented. We think that this guy is our franchise player in the making. Maybe he has character issues, and that they rolled that dice, and I don't think they have any regrets whatsoever about it. And maybe they're telling themselves, you know what, we have the culture, we have the guys to keep this guy in line. Like, but I do think, to your point, I don't mean to harp on some bad Lakers memories, but like, this it kind of sounds D'Angelo Russell-esque, because D'Angelo Russell absolutely had the talent to be something special, and he wasn't bad in the NBA, but the immaturity definitely factored into why he didn't quite live up to his potential, despite the fact that if he was feeling it, he's really tough to stop. So like, I do think the Jazz are going to operate with if they think that this is their guy, even if they know that he's got some character issues, they're still going to take him. I mean, Danny Ainge, he traded for Kyrie Irving, didn't care about the supposed character issues. It blew up in his face, but he still takes those risks. He still is just like, I don't care if this is who I want, this is who I'm going to take. Even like Rajon Rondo was also kind of an enigmatic player. And even then, the Celtics were like, yeah, we're going to take him. Like, we're going to keep him on this team because we believe that this guy's our guy. So, like, I do think the Jazz, I think as horrible I shouldn't say as horrible, as bad as they were last season, I do think that the Jazz were highly encouraged by the culture that they created. And it was strong enough that I do think that they can believe that someone like Peterson could come in and it won't be a problem.
You could think of worse things than having 2 6'9" wings, on the team that are both talented and highly drafted in Ace Bailey and AJ Devanza. I could think of worse things. I'll just say that. It won't, with all the forwards you would have, that might be playing time might be an issue, or somebody has to be playing out of place as far as it's concerned. But I could think of worse things than putting all that talent on the floor and see if it works out. But I will also say that Cam Boozer, the analytics darling, some draft experts I know you've been watching have, already targeted him at number 2, because not just because of the fact that, dad is an advisor with the team, but also as well just because he is a safe pick, and a pick for, while he may not ever become a superstar, still someone that looks to be like a multi-time all-star in their opinion. And again, an analytics darling, a guy who can facilitate, you can run the offense through him. He can make those solid shots. He can extend out to three. He can do a lot of different things, which again, if you're concerned about Walker Kessler and his future going forward in Utah, may be a safer pick than either Debanza or Peterson.
Yeah, like like it's very possible that they may take Boozer. Like it's funny to me that because like the reports all seem to indicate that they're like even though like Debanza is maybe the consensus number one, it's not etched in stone that he will be. Like this really could go in any order that like between Debanza, Boozer, and Peterson. Like I can't remember the last time we had like a draft where it really wasn't clear from number 1 to number 3. We don't know. Maybe it
I think
was
the Banchero draft with Smith, and yeah, that I think that was the top 3 were in play pretty much until the day before.
or even like 2014 with Embiid, Parker, and Wiggins. Like that, those were like 3 like can't miss prospects, and like no one really knew who was going to go number 1. Like it's Boozer definitely will be a safety net in case this Kessler thing gets ugly. It also would it there is a fair credence to even Tim McMahon said that they wouldn't be related, but I do think that if they took Boozer, it would be like this Kessler thing could get ugly if we don't if this also kind of blows up in our face. Like I do think Ainge's draft history does speak for itself. He's definitely had his near disasters, but I do think that the Jazz should trust whoever he takes. Trust his approach basically because he doesn't care about the risks involved. If he likes someone, he typically makes the right pick, even if like people are just like, what? It's either you pick that.
So, do you have any personal convictions over Darren Peterson and his recent actions? You said his actions aren't malicious in any way and aren't as bad or as in depth as Ace Bailey's outright refusal, and of course, demands based off of what his representation was at that time, who he since let go after the debacle there. What are your thoughts personally on Darren Peterson as far as it's concerned?
I'm actually glad you asked because that reminded me of something else. I think it was Tony Jones who said it's not Utah that he's afraid of. It's the fact that he and Keontae George have the same representation. So I think what they're
Mhm.
afraid of is that the two of them getting in the way of each other. And it's very possible that they will, but it's also very possible that they may be the best Jazz backcourt they've had since Stockton and Hornacek. Like I do like there's a lot to like about a duo like that. Like I operate with the mindset of like I don't see how this goes wrong for Utah. Like I do think like my personal conviction is that like if DeBonce's there at number 2, they're taking him no matter what. If Cameron Boozer goes number 1, even if it's between Peters and DeBonce, they're going to take DeBonce because they want the guy that they know is not only a fantastic prospect, but they know, hey, this guy is going to stay in Utah. Like so, but honestly, like I don't think any Jazz fans are going to take issue with them taking Peterson. Like I think Jazz fans, despite everything that went on with Bailey, they were like, no, we're okay with Bailey, whether he likes it here or not. We have him for the next 4 years, and we can decide where to go from here. And I think 1 year later, it's pretty clear Bailey likes likes being a Jazz man. Like, who knows if he's going to stay here long term, but he did not cause one problem when many thought that that could have been the case. So I do think that that kind of success story will play into why the Jazz are like, okay, if the Bonds is taken and Peterson's right there, we're going to take Peterson and just come what may.
Well, there you go, indeed. But if you want more info on what's going on with the Utah Jazz, there's no better place to go than check out Matt's articles at thejnotes.com. I like the Kevin Love has one on Kevin Love there as well. Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, him joining LeBron on the Lakers. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, so thrilled. So thrilled.
Oh my goodness. I just have questions on that. I was like, wait, if LeBron wanted Love, like when the Jazz first got him, I do think that they tried to see if anyone wanted him and everyone told them no. So what, now you want him? Like, he was right there. Like, you could have just taken him if you wanted him.
I don't know. Just really, what does he do at this point? He had, I mean, for a guy at the end of his career, I guess he had a decent little season, but I mean, the Lakers need talent that's young, athletic, and whatnot. Adding Kevin Love does not do that at this stage of his career, with all due respect to the great career he's had. I don't get it, indeed. But you want to go ahead and check out the articles, they're right there for Matt, indeed. But I wanted to go ahead and ask you this. I didn't know if you wanted to add on to that as far as Kevin Love is concerned, but I did want to go ahead and ask you. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say this. Like, it actually, like, if you said like a year ago, yeah, he's gonna leave the Jazz for the Lakers, everyone would say, okay, whatever. But Love actually did endear himself quite well to Utah last year. Like, and that's a rare sight.
As a mentor, that type deal. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, he was pretty universally loved. Like, before that, Mark Spears came out, who I would say is pretty in the know about things. Like, it is actually, like, it would be shocking and kind of saddening if he does leave the Jazz. I do think he's left his imprint here. I'm not sure. Like, I do question, wait, why do the Lakers want him? The Lakers aren't a young team. They're a win now team. They're going to be right there with the Jazz. Like, what does, like, Love, if he wants to go back to his college route, sure. I mean, who doesn't want to play in LA? But I do like it. This is what I wrote about, is that, like, it would be saddening because Love really did, like, the fans grew attached to him. They really liked him, even though, like, he can't do nearly as much as he once did. He was pretty well liked with the Jazz.
And right now, if you're interested in the odds, I talked about the odds the other day about for the Lakers, and obviously who's at the top of the food chain with San Antonio, OKC, depending on which day it seems. So either one of those favorites, where the Knicks and the Celtics lie right behind them. But if you want a deep sleeper, plus 20,000 right now at DraftKings, there's the Utah Jazz. You put $5 on that. There you go. Just saying. That's a pretty big payback if that happens. But before we head on out, Matt, I just wanted to go ahead and ask you your thoughts. Again, you are a Boston aficionado, as far as your true heart lies, and I get that absolutely. What's your thoughts on the ever-growing smoke surrounding Giannis and Jaylen Brown before we head on out, my friend? I wanted to get your 2 cents in it. I know Caleb Ponce and I talked about it at length. Giannis is one of the most intriguing storylines heading into this offseason. And you and I talked about this is the most interesting time of the year for rumors and innuendo.
Mm-hmm.
What are the rumors and innuendos saying about you when it comes to your fandom over the Boston Celtics?
Well, I do think here's what I think the Celtics are, the message they're trying to send. They're trying to send the message of, yes, we do want, if Giannis is available, we want him. But we also want to make it clear that we are not trying to trade Jaylen Brown. Like, there's a difference. Like, I do think that Brad Stevens made one of his rookie mistakes 4 years ago as a GM when Kevin Durant was available, and I'm sure he called and talked to the Nets. Like, and this is my speculation. I think that, like, the Celtics said, well, what would it take to get Durant? And they said, well, it's going to take Jaylen Brown and Derek White, and of course draft assets. And Stevens was like, oh, okay, like, guess I'll think about it. And then the Nets ran with it. They said, see, he offered that much. And they weren't doing that to, screw over the Celtics. They were trying to set the bar of like, this is what you're going to have to offer if you want Kevin Durant. But like, I don't think the Celtics were ever that serious about it. I could be wrong. But, and the reason why I bring that up is because I think Brown, when he caught wind of that, he was like, what? You're trying to trade me after we just made the NBA Finals? So I do think that taught Stevens a lesson of like, dude, keep your cards close to your vest, because even though Brown is smart enough to understand that like, it's a business, you get put in trade rumors, and he knows he's been put in plenty of trade rumors over the years. But I do think he's kind of just like, at this specific time, we're not trying to send the message to Jalen that we want to trade him. Like one of the very few guys that we will trade for him is Giannis Antetokounmpo. I wonder if they've been like, yes, Jalen would be on the table, but you guys have to find that third team because we are not actively looking for a third team. I think I said this last time I was on here. If Milwaukee liked Miami's deal, this would be done. Like, yes. No questions. Like, to me, the vibe I'm getting is no, they hate that deal. If that deal wasn't good enough for Damian Lillard, it's certainly not good enough for Giannis Antetokounmpo. So I do think that Milwaukee's really banking, okay, Boston, is Jaylen Brown on the table or not? And I think what Boston's saying is he only is if you find a third team that we find agreeable to send him to. So I'm looking forward to seeing how the situation shakes out. I think Celtics fans are like more or less pro, yes, we are into Giannis, but we are not going to be heartbroken if he doesn't come to Boston. And at the same time, like as more time passes, I'm just thinking like, who tops them? Who tops the Celtics in these sweepstakes? It's hard to see anyone. Jaylen Brown alone tops anything Miami offers. And Giannis has basically said it's Miami or Boston. So unless some team swoops in and says, okay, we're going to take him, and I only think a team would do that if Giannis says, yes, I'm going to stay with you past this season. Like I'm trying my best not to fanboy or be biased, but I'm just like, yeah, if the roles were reversed, if it was Boston who could only offer Tyler Herro and all those young players, I'd say, yeah, Miami's got him beat because it's Jaylen Brown, guy coming off a second-team All-NBA. That's better than anything the other competitor would have to offer. So but surprises have happened in the past. But I think this is all coming down to if Boston really is being like, okay, we are going to trade. I do think they are willing to trade Brown for Giannis, but I also think they want to make sure Brown does not come back to bite us if we trade him.
So there you have it. There's the thoughts of Matt John. Again, he'll be having more input when he runs the franchise. He's going to say to Brad Stevens, step aside, because tomorrow he is going to be running the Boston Celtics and the Utah Jazz. He's going to say to the Angels, have fun. Go ski on the slopes of Salt Lake City. Okay. So, but you can't do really right now in June, but go ahead and do something because I am running now the Utah Jazz and Boston Celtics. So I'm looking forward to seeing what master plans he has devised or will devise by that time tomorrow. So definitely looking forward to it as we navigate our teams through the NBA draft, what draft choices, what we make, and then also as well going through the free agency period and what team they would end up with heading into training camp indeed. So Matt, it's always great to have you on. Again, the J Notes at thejnotes.com. You have a ton of stories for people to read right there. Part of the Fansided experience, of course. Any last thoughts before we head on out?
Actually, I had some Lakers thoughts that I wanted to run by you if you don't mind.
Ooh.
Because the Nets, the rumor about tying Austin Reeves to the Nets made me think about a potential trade where the Lakers would sign and trade Reeves to Brooklyn, maybe with DeAndre Ayton or Vanderbilt. And in return, the Lakers would get Michael Porter Jr. and Nick Claxton. Well,
I actually, on an earlier show this week on my Lakers Latest, I work for Fan Arc Network, actually already put a proposal out there where they don't have to take in DeAndre Ayton. And I don't really want Nick Claxton because we've seen his playoff performance, aka 0 for 10 free throw shooting. If you remember that from years past, to see him. I talked about the seventh layer of hell where you're going to watch Nick Claxton's playoff free throw shooting. Mitchell Robinson's free throw shooting, and also as well Jaden Quainton's free throw shooting, all back to back, and you have to sit there and watch it, and you're stuck to watching it through eternity, and that's definitely a layer of hell I don't want to be a part of. But be that as it may, I said MPJ and Day'Ron Sharpe matches pretty much to the dollar what he could make with the Brooklyn Nets, or he could be signed and traded so he can get that extra 5th year, so that would cover those two entirely, plus save the Lakers a little bit of money in return.
Yeah. So you can see what I'm getting at with just
yeah, no, I absolutely, the MPJ part of it, and both are expiring, by the way. If you get Sharpe and MPJ, both are expiring contracts.
Yeah. So it's definitely a conundrum with Reeves, because I do think he's an excellent player, but I am part of do I pay this much for a guy who can really score, really good at it, but unfortunately the other areas would maybe hesitant to invest in him. And Michael Porter Jr., you can he's not as good of a scorer as Reeves is, don't get me wrong, but he gives you size, he gives you motivated defense. He's played beside a player kind of Luka-esque in Nikola Jokic. I kind of like that fit, and I do think that the Lakers, what would help them a lot is having a sturdy big, and Ayton, you kind of know what you're getting, and that you don't know what you're getting from him.
But I'll say he'd have to pick up his 2nd year on his contract, which we do not know as of yet with Ayton. So that's one reason why I couldn't leave. I don't know his contract. I don't know what he wants to do yet. So he has not indicated what he is leaning towards. And he's right there at 8 million-ish. So you don't know whether or not he, of course, Walker Kessler evaluates himself as a better player than what his real worth is.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But you were right on the money with MPJ. I want to compliment you on that, because I had that thinking as well, as far as it's concerned. Because as soon as those rumors came out about them offering him a 178.5 package, and you're thinking, well, a sign and trade would get him an extra year, an extra little cash on the side, then pieces might fit for a sign and trade that the Lakers could actually end up dealing with and still have flexibility moving forward, which I think would probably be, as you put it, probably best for all parties concerned. But I'm not sure the Lakers will follow that mindset, unfortunately. So
yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what the Lakers do this offseason, because even I think it came out that they might not do anything, but I think that if the opportunity presents itself, I think they will look for upgrades in more ways than I think people will think.
Luka wants his boy back, and I'm just like, oh God. I don't know, Matt. I don't know. Seriously, I don't know. I don't know. I have my concerns indeed, but please go ahead and make sure you check out Matt John today at thejnotes.com. Matt, you've always been an incredible guest, and you have continued that fact. And I look forward to tomorrow when you will design the outlook for the 2027 Boston Celtics and the Utah Jazz, while I design the 2027 Lakers. Legend designs the Atlanta Hawks and Golden State Warriors, and Caleb Ponce designs the Oklahoma City Thunder as well. So definitely looking forward to seeing how we would go about remaking or building on these teams, and I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts tomorrow indeed, Matt. But great to have you here as always, and great to have you provide the best in NBA observations.